DPA has been used worldwide for 60 plus years. It's an antioxidant, and it's really, really good at stopping some storage disorders that develop over time in apples and pears. One's on the surface called superficial scald. The apples and pears are perfectly fine to eat, but they get a bit of a discoloration, and so consumers don't want that. So that's on the outside, and then there's something called internal browning, which, given its name, it's on the inside, and that develops over a couple of months in storage. So DPA has been great for that, but I guess we're looking as a world and as a society of using less chemicals where possible and different things. And so I guess Australia is wanting to keep up with the rest of the world, and so we're looking at other options now. Looking at a bigger market, so wanting to export our apples and pears from Australia, and particularly if we wanted to send them, say, to the EU, which is well known as being the most stringent in the world for their levels of chemicals. So we would need to reduce that amount of what we've been using by a fair bit. And so really we're looking at some alternatives for that. Well, there are quite a few options that we can use. So one is pretty much chemical free, and it's just putting the apples and pears in cold storage and using a system where we're really checking their level of kind of sleep, if you like, of just maintaining them just at the lowest possible level. And that is working really, really well. But that, of course, means that you've got to have a cool room that doesn't have any leaks in it, etc. And it's not, necessarily what everybody can use at the moment. So therefore, we've looked at some other options, and so this is, looking at the literature worldwide. There have been some other antioxidants and things that are quite effective. Some are probably out of the price range because they're more expensive than what we currently use. But there's some other ones that are actually quite good. And there are other antioxidants that were trialled initially, like in the 1950s when DPA was first done. But they kind of went by the wayside because the first chemical was so effective. And I think bringing some of those back might be quite good, and they're actually a lot cheaper. So it's about $10 per kilo compared with about $45. So they're just antioxidants, ascorbic acid, citric acid, things that are already in the plants, the food that we eat. So there shouldn't be a problem in terms of exporting that to overseas. If you do want to export, because the previous chemical was quite persistent in the cool rooms and the infrastructure, we need to get rid of that. And so the way to do that seems to be combining a few treatments. So heating the room. So it seems to be that some preliminary work showed that 40 degrees Celsius was quite good. So combining that with a high pressure wash, and including in that high pressure wash a surfactant, because the substance that was there was quite oily, so to break up that sort of fatty, oily substance. And also maybe having a slightly lower pH than 5 to help it, to just sort of break up and dissipate. And ideally doing that, obviously, when the cool rooms are empty, and venting out into the atmosphere then what evolves out of those rooms. So I think that we do need to do this research in Australia. It doesn't seem to be done so much around the world because people go down the option of just building a new cool room and using other technology. But as I said before, it's quite expensive and not suitable for everyone. So I think doing that research where we're actually testing the residues that are in the cool rooms after we use those treatments is a really good idea. And then also testing how effective some of those, particularly ascorbic acid, might be on apples and pears, and not only the superficial scald but internal browning as well.